With 30 years worth of releases under its belt, the Eese series has been a long-standing crowd pleaser to fans of action role-playing games. And while you'd think that by now we'd all know how to pronounce the name of this franchise, there are plenty of people who are still trying to find out the proper pronunciation of the name Eese. Today we'll be taking a look at this historical series and trying to figure out if it's Wise, Yees, Ease, or YS? For this is Gaming Linguistics. I wanted to approach this with as much visual evidence as possible, so my search began to try to find some interviews with members of the Japanese developers of the franchise of developer Falcom, and potentially compare it to any American publishers, but sadly there's very little video or audio to compare the two. With this in mind, we should probably step backwards in time and start at where the confusion potentially began, with gaming journalists and the first release. The Eese franchise began on Japanese computer systems such as the PC-88. It later saw ports to various other systems like the PC-98, the Fujitsu Micro 7, and the MSX2 computer, as well as the Famicom. However, a North American release on MS-DOS, the Apple II GS, and consoles such as the TurboGrafx and Sega Master System were also in the series' future plans. But American gaming journalists in magazines like EGM and others were unsure as to how to pronounce the game. And how could you blame them? Many magazines got it correct, so why would other writers in these other magazines get it wrong? Well, because of the packaging. The Master System version of the game had a misspelling on the back, placing an apostrophe where there shouldn't have been one. This would cause players to potentially pronounce incorrectly by saying YS or Wise. The reason for this is because of the apostrophe feeling like it's assigning possession, as if Y was an item or entity capable of being grasped or used in some way. Despite this, there are words and names that pronounce Y''S, similar to Ease. If you said Nancy's house is on the right, the pronunciation sounds quite similar to the game's appropriate pronunciation. So, did the developers try to correct their mistakes in any way? Sort of. See, it wasn't long before the TurboGrafx CD system saw a compilation of Eese 1 and 2 with all new cutscenes and audio dialogue that clearly pronounced the name of the game.
Eese.
And considering how this version of the first two titles released in 1989 with the game's 1991 release, Wanderers from Yees, they probably got the spelling correct by now. Let's see. TurboGrafx CD looks correct, as does the Sega Genesis version. But the version that I played much later in 1993 on the Super NES gets it wrong and correct at the same time. This was the first exposure I had to the series personally, and I can tell you definitely that this was super confusing to 10-year-old Mike. Now, by this point, the series disappeared from Western shores until 2005's PlayStation 2 release of Eese: The Ark of Nepishtim. So that's almost 14 years without a release, leaving plenty of time for gamers to become lost in the ways of pronunciation. We can look to the Japanese marketing to see that it's clearly pronounced like the word geese, but without the G, or like fleece without the FL.
伝説は語るイース名作イース1、2のシステムイース1、イース2、イース3、イース4、イース5 coming soon.
The Japanese spelling would be considered IISU, with the pronunciation leaving the U as silent. This is fairly common in Japanese words, with an example being dis, or to be, or it is. Des is pronounced des in Japan, not desu. Likewise, is is the correct pronunciation of the word. But what about the romanization? While the word is used in other topics which do pronounce it differently, we're focusing on what the game series is supposed to be called, not on the word being used in other types of popular cultures, stories, or adaptations. Also, the word doesn't change spelling, so the act of anglicization would not make it wise, so it remains based on its foreign pronunciation as originally intended. So, now that we've cleared up how to say ease, how did you pronounce it beforehand? Are you planning on changing how you say it? What's your experience with the series? Leave a comment below. And as always, thanks for watching Gaming Linguistics.